Hello, this is Niswander, and I'm here with prolific singer-songwriter James Lee Stanley. He has released 23 solo albums, as well as some collaborations with interesting people like Peter Tork of the Monkees and singer-songwriter Cliff Eberhardt. He's also produced artists such as Don Dunn, the original keyboard player of the Moody Blues, Mike Pinder, also guitarist Lawrence Juber, who played with Paul McCartney and Wings, Stephen Bishop. The list goes on and on. I had to do that. Also scored and produced TV shows, movies, even a family affair, working with his sister Pamela. His most recent album is the Epochal Optimist, which we'll get to in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lee Stanley. Thank you for doing the Nowman show.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's always strange to hear your accomplishments listed. You know, it's.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. You know.
It's a great thing, I guess.
Now, there was a Huffington Post article.
Yes.
I always like going into the background because you learn a lot about a person when you go into their background.
When they called up and said the Huffington Post wants to do an interview, instead of going, well, of course, I'll see if I can schedule it in, I went, really?
So you were born and raised in Philadelphia, right?
I was born in Philadelphia, and then we moved to Africa. Then we moved back to the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Wow.
Then we moved to Virginia, and then I joined the Air Force and moved to California, became a Chinese linguist, went to Taiwan, came back to California, and enrolled in music school.
And where did you go to school?
Los Angeles City College and Cal State Northridge.
Ah, wow. So your degree was in music?
I actually didn't finish.
Uh-huh.
I got a recording contract, and I thought, well, I can always come back and get the degree, but you only get signed to a recording contract while you're young. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I thought, I think I'll take and then I'm probably going to go back to college in my 80s.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. I finally went back, finished in my 40s, so
Really?
you know. Yeah.
I know if I were to win the lottery, I would go to college and simply take everything. I would never, ever stop taking classes because everything is so interesting.
That's right. I think the more life experience we have, the more we realize that.
Yeah, and there's so much to learn, and we have so little.
So when did you first discover music?
Oh, my grandfather played music, and my mother sang, and everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
there was music always. My grandfather was playing. He could play the piano like Chico Marx, and he could play the guitar and the banjo. He could play everything. And my Uncle Dick got me a ukulele, which is in the other room. I found it in the attic at my parents' house when they passed.
Wow.
And it's the ukulele I played when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
It's probably worth about $100, and it cost me almost $400 to have it restored.
Wow. Wow.
I thought this was the beginning. If this ukulele hadn't come along, I could have been a doctor.
Wow.
But no.
Well, you obviously must like the Doors and the Stones, though, right?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was always a Beatle guy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was at a wedding in Topanga Canyon about 10 years ago, something like that. And when the band took a break, the groom said, "Hey, man, go up and sing something for us." And there were 3 songwriters there, me and George Merrill, who wrote "How Will I Know" and "I Want to Dance with Somebody," and another man named Rod McDonald, who was a journalist for the New York Times and is now a very topical writer, and he's very good. So the 3 of us went on stage, and when we got there, we realized that we only sang what we wrote. So we couldn't do anything together,
Yeah.
And Rod, who was standing in the middle, said, "Do you know Ruby Tuesday?" And I said, "Well, I know the chorus." And he said, "Okay." And he started into the song. And so George Merrill is a brilliant high harmony singer, and I'm no slouch. And so we just broke into 3-part harmony, and it was so powerful that the wedding party, it was like an Ozzie and Harriet episode. Everybody runs to the stage and stands there while we sing. I mean, it was mind-boggling. And on the way home, I said to my wife, I don't think anybody's ever heard the Rolling Stones songs done well. I mean, not well, but I mean,
more
in
technical
and more
harmonious.
Music more harmonious, exactly.
Yeah.
Because they got a raw raucous
Right.
rock thing, and I thought the songwriting is really brilliant, and I don't think people actually even think about it. So I decided to do an album of Rolling Stone songs, and I contacted John Batdorf, who was in Batdorf and Rodney, who was a dear old friend and an extraordinary vocalist and guitar player. And he came over, and we put together. And I called Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles, and Timothy came over, and we worked out some 3 parts on Last Time, I think.
Timothy Schmidt too. Also,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, he gets way up there, right?
He does.
Yeah.
Timothy has a fabulous voice. He was going to do the whole album, but then after we finished one song, Henley called him. And he called up and he said, "James, man, I'm sorry. I know I said I'd do this project with you, but Henley just called and they're putting the band back together." And I said, "Well,
Yeah.
you have to go where the money is."
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was giving him all the coffee he could drink, you know what I mean? He'd come in here and do background vocals, and I think it sounds great, and he'd go, "No, I can do better than that. Let me take another whack at it." I'm thinking, "Geez, it sounds perfect to me," and then he would do it, and it would be better.
Yeah.
He's an inspiration. That guy.
That's great. I love it. I love being around people like that.
Me too.
So you have also the Doors. You have all wood and doors with doors,
well, after
right?
I did the Stones thing, I put the album out. I called it All Wood and Stones, and then my friend Gene Vano, who has been a wonderful booster of mine through my life, and who was the road manager for Little Feat, and he knows everybody in rock and roll. Anyhow, one day we're having lunch, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to have lunch with John Densmore on Friday," and I said, "Oh, take my book and get him to sign it." And he said, "Just come with me." So I went to the lunch, sincerely thrilled at the prospect of meeting John Densmore, because I was a huge Doors fan. And I bring in the book and I go, Hi, John, James Lee Stanley. And he goes, "Hey, man, I love that All Wood and Stones thing you did." Turns out that Gene had given him the recording, and he loved it. So I sat down, we had lunch, we really hit it off, we're laughing our asses off. And then he says at one point, "You know, man, if you ever decide to do the Doors, I'll play on it."
Wow.
And I thought, well, guess what? I said, "I'm going to hold you to that, John." And I literally, we ended the lunch, I walked out the parking lot, and I'd been talking to Cliff Eberhard about doing a duet album. And I called Cliff and I said, "Cliff, I just had lunch with John Densmore of the Doors. He says if I do a Doors album, he'll play on it." I said, "Do you want to do the project with me?" And he said, "Yes."
And didn't Robbie Krieger end up playing too?
I was playing in Texas, and I came in the dressing room and my cell phone's ringing, and it was Robbie Krieger.
Wow.
He said, "Hey, man, I heard what you're doing, and if you want some guitar, I'll play on it."
Awesome.
And I said, "Are you kidding? I think we can squeeze you in."
Well, all those guys, I mean, even Manzarek, when he was alive, they would show up and play with Doors tribute bands. And I know a guy that played in a Doors tribute band called the Wild Child, and they would show up at any time and say, "Please play." No. One time he said Densmore would say, "No, I'm just here to watch you guys."
Robbie invited me to some benefit that he does every year, and the lead singer from Wild Child joined them on stage and just nailed Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah, they're probably the first one of that type. Now there's all kinds of tribute bands out there.
Now what I did was not a tribute. I mean, it wasn't a faithful tribute of the music. It was a complete reinterpretation of the music.
Exactly.
I mean, although we could have asked Ray to play on it, but I thought that Ray Manzarek's keyboard sound and technique was so integral to the Doors sound that if I brought him into the project, it would sound like the Doors.
It would, yeah.
And I wanted to do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to take it someplace else. So even though I would have been thrilled to have Ray Manzarek work on it, I didn't pursue that, because I thought, we're going someplace else. Let's make. I mean, those Doors songs sound nothing like any Doors song.
I particularly liked "When You're Strange, Faces Come Out of the Rain."
Yeah,
when you're strange.
That was Cliff's idea.
Yeah, I like that version. That was good.
Yeah, and we did another song. I remember we were doing something. The first song on the album. I think it was that one. Was it that one? It doesn't matter. But he said, "We got to Beatle this up," and he rewrote the bridge, and it just sounded like a Beatle bridge. I mean, he changed the chords, and we might have finessed the melody a little bit, you know.
Well, that's like it's when you do a cover song. I don't even like calling it a cover. I like an individual interpretation.
It's a reinterpretation, is the
when you're an artist, that's what you look at. You don't want it to sound exactly like the original.
What was the point of making the same record again?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
I mean, and unless you were doing it as to learn something.
That's right.
You wouldn't want to release that. You know what I mean?
And even John Lennon said once, like, I could do Strawberry Fields forever because I can already think of a different way I could do it, but it's already done. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was already thinking of other ways he could do songs he'd already done. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the Epochal Optimist. Now, when I saw that album title, I thought, "No, what in the heck inspired that?"
Well, I really love this planet and I love this country, and I think that there's a lot of things. I think that we're not living up to our promise, our potential, or our commitment. Like this country was supposed to be this beacon of freedom, and it's turning into an oligarchy where people with the most money call all the shots, and the rest of us can go to hell. And,
That's right.
And I think that kind of thinking. I mean, we were talking about that moral capitalism a little earlier. I really think that if we cannot impose some sort of moral capitalism on the thing, because I believe in capitalism, I think it's the way to go. But the idea of making obscene profit at the expense of everybody else that's involved, it's not morally acceptable and it's not sustainable.
That's right.
And historically, you get enough people with nothing to lose, and you're sitting on a tinderbox. If they don't pay attention, we're going to have a whole lot of unhappy people setting fire to things in the streets. I mean, that's what happens.
Well, I think too.
So I decided that the world was going to hell, but I also am very hopeful. So I just combined the words apocalypse, which is the Christian perception of
doom and gloom,
dystopia.
Right.
And optimism. I mean, optimist, because I really believe things will work out if we pay attention. So I've just stuck the words together, Epochal Optimist.
So some of the song titles in here, you obviously like to write a variety of subject matter.
Well, I do
maybe you do. Well, that's good. That's good. It's important to read. Now let's see, on the album itself, you have...
you mean on the Epochal Optimist? I have Gypsies in the Hallway, I have...
Twinkle in Your Eye.
Oh yeah, about the song about Alzheimer's.
And Living the Party Life. What's that about?
I just got tired of this new nihilism, which is such a hopeless, short-sighted, selfish way of... and that's what the chorus was... what do we do when we win? We party. What do we do when we lose? We party harder. And when we've paid no dues, more party. What have we got to lose,
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what we've got to lose is everything. I happen to love partying, and as a child of the 60s, I have partied in every direction that you can possibly think of.
Yes, I'm sure.
And I celebrate them all.
Yeah.
Okay, kids, so...
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do this at home, kids, because your parents will be so pissed.
That's right, and you won't be happy down the road.
There you go.
Here we have My Father.
That's I just thought of the whole song in the car. I like to write in the car because there's no instrument.
Well, that if there was, then it'd be really interesting to play guitar with one hand and drive with the other.
Right? Yes, it'd be worse than texting. I find that if you write with an instrument, you tend to write the way you play, and you write with the expertise that you have on the instrument. So I think it limits you in terms of your imagination. If you just write in your head, there is no limitation.
That's right.
So I write most of my songs without an instrument, and then try to figure out how the hell do you play this.
Yes.
So with Here We Have My Father, when I started in the car, I thought, this is beautiful. I really like this. And I got home and I picked it up and it went, here we have my father, moving kind of slow, hey. And I thought, this sucks. What? I think it was so good in the car. So weeks went by, and at some party, somebody said, can you play Blackbird? And I said, well, yeah, I probably can. And then I thought, oh, that's interesting. All those tenths, And I thought, I wonder if I did that to my father. And then I think Cliff said, you should think about spacing it out maybe. So it went from, here we have my father, to, here we have my father, moving kinda slow. And I did the tenths.
Yes.
And then I got the idea from McCartney's Blackbird. But then I added another part, so there was harmony.
There's extra notes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got the pedal tone D in there just because pedal tones tend to make things more pensive and hypnotic.
Yes, yes, yes. And then you also go into Gypsies in the Hallway, which...
That's actually about lobbyists.
It's about lobbyists. Could you explain that and then maybe play it for us?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
My wife is Dutch, and I found out that in Holland they don't have lobbying. It's illegal.
Wow.
And they also don't call it lobbying. They call it bribery.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it's interesting the way we here in America think if we change the name of a turd, it won't stink. You know.
That's true, right?
You know, and so I thought. I decided to write a song about them and about how they're twisting the whole process, the democratic process. Now, of course, people have to go to their congressman and make sure the congressmen are aware of what needs to be done. But in terms of sending the congressman and his wife to Tibet for a month, all expenses paid, so that they'll vote for something. Hey, that's not a level playing field anymore, because I can't send my congressman to Tibet to get his attention. So I think no one should be able to do that.
That's right.
Plus, I think that they should make a statement of their financial situation when they enter, and it better be close to that when they come out. Right now, freshman congressmen a year later are worth $1 million. Where's that money coming from? There's a big problem. So I wrote a song about it and discovered that lobbyists is a really clumsy word to say.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I changed it to gypsies. Because gypsies, so easy to sing.
Gypsies in the Hallway,
Yeah.
James Lee Stanley.
There's gypsies in the hallway with their potions and their spells. They're waiting there in silence, but I hear their tiny bells. They're waiting without knocking, but I can feel them there. No secret safe outside your door. Open if you dare. Open if you dare. Open if you dare. No secret safe outside your door. Open if you dare. Open if you dare. There's gypsies in the hallway. There's gypsies on the stairs. They never stop their whispers, their violins in the air. The melodies are haunting, confuse your secret fears. You think you lost a moment, but really it's been years. Listen if you dare. Listen if you dare. Time is like quicksilver. Listen if you dare. Listen if you dare. Yesterday is what it is, a weave of joy and sorrow. Today is really all you have. No guarantees of tomorrow. There's gypsies in the hallway. Your fortune's up for sale. 20 bits of silver, and your palm will tell the tale. There's gypsies in the hallways, there's gypsies on the stairs. They say they play for free, but I warn you, have a care. No one plays for free. No one plays for free. Somewhere there's a bloody bill. No one plays for free. No one plays for free. No one plays for free. Gypsies in the hallway.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, great song.
Thank you both.
Yeah. I love it. 'Cause
funny.
I know musically how that works. Like, you know, you can't lobbyists in the hallway.
Yeah,
it just
right.
doesn't.
Nah.
It doesn't fit. There's that one extra like beat there. It just it.
Yeah, it's clumsy. It doesn't scan.
Yeah, exactly. You also collaborated with a gentleman by the name of Michael Smith, who wrote a musical called Grapes of Wrath.
Michael has written several musicals. I think he's a bona fide genius songwriter. What he writes is like no one else. And he wrote a song called The Dutchman that's been recorded by Steve Goodman, and even Bob Shane of the Kingston Trio recorded it.
Wow.
And thousands of people record Michael's songs. He's so brilliant. And he was invited by the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago to write the music for the play Grapes of Wrath, which the music was so effective that they put him in the play as like the minstrel.
Wow.
And he sang this thing, and they toured all over the country for a couple of years with his music. And he's just a magnificent writer. I've written a bunch of songs with him through the years, and I find him a consistent inspiration to me.
Did that inspire you to write your
Well, you know what?
latest project?
Oh yeah, so I did write a musical myself, but actually I started it years ago. I was going to do it. There was a friend of mine who was
How many years ago?
19.
Wow.
There was a friend of mine who was a national cartoonist, and we were going to do a musical based on her cartoon character, but then she got married and got a child and said, you know, I don't want to do any of this anymore. So she shut the whole thing down, and I had already started this musical, so I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got to do something with what I started here. So I rewrote the libretto and rewrote and re-recorded some songs. Ended up recording the entire musical. I recorded as though it were an original cast recording from a musical that has yet to be staged. But they did that with Evita, and they did that with Jesus Christ Superstar. It was a record first, and then it was. So I made a record of this, and my sister Pamela, who's one of the more brilliant vocalists on the planet, sang the lead in it. I do some, I play one of the lesser characters, but she's the star. And I just finished mixing it about 10 days ago.
Wow.
It's manufacturing, and it will be available by August the 1st of 2015. I just put up a Facebook page for it. It's called Straight from the Heart, the musical.
Well, let's finish this with a song.
Okay.
And from the musical that's
this
coming
is the
up.
musical.
What's the name of this one?
It's called When Love Comes Knocking Around.
When Love Comes Knocking Around, James Lee Stanley.
When love comes knocking around, when love comes knocking around and around, you better be there. When love comes knocking around. When love comes knocking around, when love comes knocking around, you better be there rocking. When love comes a knocking, when love comes knocking around, like a child at a wishing well, You've been wishing with all your might for a charm that can break the spell that's been keeping your heart locked up so tight. When love comes knocking around, when love comes knocking around, you better be there rocking. When love comes a knocking, when love comes knocking around. Well, who can say what life holds in store? That's a secret no one knows. But the joy we're created for is the key that can open any door. When love comes knocking around, when love comes knocking around and around, you better be there rocking. When love comes a knocking, when love comes around. You better be there, oh, when love comes around. Now it's time to begin again, so close your eyes, count to 10. Kick the can, all the oxen free. Be as ready you can be. When love comes knocking around, when love comes knocking around and around, you better be there rocking. When love comes a knocking, when love comes knocking around, hey, you better be there rocking. You better be there. No, don't you be out walking around, around, round and around and around. When love comes knocking around.
Thank you so much. That was
man.
excellent, excellent. And yeah, JamesLeeStanley.com. And he's also got a blog at datamusica.com.
It's Data Musicata. It's
Data
Musicata. Data Musicata.
Yeah.
And I've had over 1 million hits, and it's literally everything I can think of that would help you find your own creative muse and do essentially what I do, but follow your muse in any direction. And there's also a search engine, so you can look up anything you might want to know about. I mean, it's stuff like how to use a microphone, how to buy a guitar, how to book yourself, how
to get an agent,
how to get an agent, how to I can tell you right now that I know every way how not to get an agent. And they're all on there.
Thank you so much.
It's okay. I was in the neighborhood, man. Thank you. No, you were in my neighborhood.
I was in your neighborhood.
You're one of us.
Yeah, right. This is Niswander, and this is the Nowman Show.